Right now, in a drainage ditch just miles from your home, a man in a hazmat suit is pumping gallons of toxic chemicals into the earth. He is being paid to destroy a miracle. He calls it a weed. He calls it a nuisance. But while he poisons the soil, you are standing in a fluorescent-lit grocery store, staring at a wilted head of organic kale that costs $7 and contains a fraction of the nutrients your grandparents consumed by accident. This is the great nutritional deficit of our age, a silent famine disguised as abundance. We have been conditioned to ignore the most powerful survival fuel on the planet simply because it cannot be patented or taxed. What if I told you that 1 cup of this so-called wheat contains more bioavailable calcium than 5 gallons of commercial pasteurized milk? What if it packed more raw protein and essential minerals than 3 pounds of hormone-injected, factory-farmed beef? This isn't just a plant. It is a biological loophole. It is a tool for total independence in a modern world that demands your absolute reliance on fragile supply chains. For decades, this knowledge has been treated as something almost illegal to possess. It has been erased from the public consciousness to ensure that your health remains under strict, centralized control. But if this plant is the ultimate survival fuel, why is it being actively erased from our memory? The answer lies in a coordinated effort to keep you entirely dependent. The system doesn't just want your money, it wants your compliance. Have you ever wondered why your local homeowners association treats a green lawn like a holy relic while treating the most nutrient-dense plants on Earth like a criminal invasion? This isn't just about aesthetics. It's about a calculated conspiracy of silence. Big agriculture and the trillion-dollar food industrial complex have built an empire on the foundation of your helplessness. If you can grow the most powerful multivitamin in the world for free in the cracks of your sidewalk, their entire business model collapses. This is why this knowledge has been suppressed for generations. It is why certain weeds are effectively banned from being discussed as food in mainstream circles. Think about the leverage they hold. Every time you walk through those sliding glass doors at the supermarket, you are admitting that you cannot survive without them. You are a hostage to their rising prices, their chemical additives, and their failing logistics. This plant represents a secret exit from that prison. It is a direct threat to the profit margins of Big Pharma, who rely on a malnourished population to keep their pill bottles rattling. In some jurisdictions, simply allowing these plants to thrive on your property has been practically criminalized under the guise of blight ordinances. They have weaponized the law to ensure your land remains barren of anything useful. The terrifying reality is that most people would starve in a field of plenty simply because they've been trained to see medicine as poison. If you cannot identify what nature provides for free, you are tethered to a sinking ship. You are forced to pay for the privilege of being slowly depleted of your vitality. They have spent billions to ensure you never look down at the dirt with anything but contempt. They want you to see a nuisance. I'm going to show you a gold mine. But first, you need to see exactly what they are hiding in plain sight. They rely on your ignorance to maintain their grip on your daily survival and your true human nutritional independence. The time has come to peel back the curtain and identify the biological rebel that has been hiding in your peripheral vision for your entire life. This is the miracle they tried to bury, the survivor that thrives when the world turns to dust. This is lamb's quarters, known scientifically as Chenopodium album, but more accurately described as wild spinach. It is nature's rebellion in botanical form. While expensive commercial crops wither at the first sign of heat or require massive infusions of synthetic nitrogen to stay alive, lamb's quarters thrives in the most hostile environments imaginable. It ignores the rules of modern farming, emerging from cracked concrete and toxic ditches with a vitality that seems almost defiant. It is the plant that cannot be tamed. Because it requires no human intervention to prosper, it represents the ultimate tool for personal independence. It is an erased chapter of our collective history, a food source so resilient that it treats drought and poor soil as mere suggestions rather than obstacles. For a system built on the fragility of specialized seeds and patented fertilizers, this plant is a direct threat. It cannot be controlled, it cannot be owned, and it refuses to be eradicated by the chemical warfare waged against it by industrial giants. Every leaf is a testament to a wild intelligence that preceded our agricultural prisons. We are talking about a species that has survived millennia of climate shifts and human neglect, waiting for you to realize that your grocery store is a desert compared to the wealth in your backyard. Knowing the name is one thing. Understanding its biochemical warfare against aging and disease is where things get truly dangerous for the status quo. This is the truth they cannot allow to go viral among the hungry, unthinking masses. To understand why this plant is a target for eradication, we have to look at the secret data that big agriculture hopes you never analyze. This is the biochemical breakdown of a miracle that has been suppressed to maintain the current illusion of nutritional scarcity. When we run a comparative analysis against the vegetables you find in the supermarket, the results are nothing short of a statistical anomaly. Let's begin with the foundation of human tissue: protein. Most cultivated greens, like kale or Swiss chard, are essentially fiber and water. However, lamb's quarters contains a protein density that rivals some legumes. But the real threat to the status quo is its amino acid profile. It is loaded with lysine, an essential amino acid that is often the missing link in plant-based diets. This makes it a near-complete protein source growing for free in your driveway. Now, look at the vitamin concentrations. Modern spinach has been bred for shelf life and size, not for your health. Lamb's quarters possesses 3 times the vitamin A of store-bought spinach. This isn't just a marginal increase. It is a total overhaul of your cellular defense system. When it comes to immune support, the data is even more damning for the supplement industry. This wild green contains 7 times the vitamin C of oranges. While you are paying for imported fruit sprayed with wax and preservatives, a superior source of ascorbic acid is being mowed down in your backyard. But the most shocking statistic, the one that really threatens the dairy industry's control over your kitchen, is the mineral content. Gram for gram, lamb's quarters contains 17 times more bioavailable calcium than commercial cow's milk. It is also an elite source of manganese, potassium, and copper, minerals that are being stripped from our topsoil by industrial farming practices. This plant is essentially a deep mining operation. Its taproot reaches down into the untouched mineral layers of the earth, pulling up the nutrients that the system has long since exhausted in its overfarmed fields. You are looking at a biological delivery system for the very elements required for peak human cognitive and physical performance. This is why you will never find a nutrition label on a wild leaf. If the public realized they could access this level of vitality without a subscription to a grocery store or a pharmacy, the entire structure of modern consumerism would fracture. This is the ultimate whistleblower data, the kind of information that turns a passive consumer into an independent survivor. These facts are buried under mountains of synthetic noise. Your health is managed through scarcity, while abundance grows at your feet. This biological safeguard breaks the manufactured dependence that keeps the masses weak and tethered to a failing chemical infrastructure. This truth has been waiting in the soil for you to reclaim your sovereign birthright. With stats like these, the supplement industry should be terrified. And as it turns out, they've spent millions making sure you never see these numbers on a nutrition label. Have you ever stopped to wonder why even the most organic or holistic grocery chains refuse to stock lamb's quarters? The answer isn't a lack of demand. It's a lack of control. From a corporate logistics standpoint, this plant is a nightmare. It has a rapid respiration rate, meaning it wilts shortly after being harvested. It doesn't survive the 1,000-mile journeys in refrigerated trucks that the global supply chain requires. Because it cannot be easily commodified, branded, or given a 30-day shelf life, it is economically invisible to the giants of Big AG. But its true threat lies far deeper than just logistics. If a food source cannot be controlled through patents and packaging, it becomes a weapon of mass independence. Beyond the grocery aisle, this plant represents a massive financial liability for Big Pharma. Lamb's quarters is a potent, natural blood purifier and an exceptional anti-inflammatory agent. In a society where chronic inflammation is the primary driver of almost every profitable disease, from arthritis to cardiovascular issues, a free, wildly available cure is a direct assault on the pharmaceutical bottom line. If the average citizen began replacing their nutrient-devoid, processed meals with the anti-inflammatory power of wild greens, the healthcare industry would lose its most consistent and profitable customers, the chronically ill. The system is designed to keep you just sick enough to require their intervention but just healthy enough to keep working. By feeding yourself from the earth, you are engaging in an act of economic sabotage. You are withdrawing your financial support from a system that survives on your biological degradation. This is why the knowledge of how to use these plants feels almost illegal in modern society. It is the ultimate form of self-governance. When you can heal your own blood and nourish your own cells without a middleman, you are no longer a subject of the corporate state. You become a sovereign entity. This independence is the one thing they cannot allow to spread, because a healthy, self-sufficient population is a population that cannot be coerced. They have built a world where you must pay for the basic requirements of life, but nature has provided a backdoor. Reclaiming this plant is about more than just nutrition. It is about reclaiming your role in the ecosystem. It is about recognizing that the weeds are actually the guardians of our health, and the corporations are the ones who are truly out of place. This transition from consumer to gatherer is the most radical shift. But this isn't the first time a miracle food has been scrubbed from the history books. To understand our future, we have to look at how our ancestors survived without a single grocery store. This plant isn't a new discovery. It's an ancient legacy that has been systematically erased from our collective memory. Thousands of years ago, across the rugged landscapes of ancient Europe, lamb's quarters was a staple, not a secret. Archaeologists have found its seeds in the stomachs of Iron Age bog bodies, proving that before we were subjects of a supermarket, we were masters of the wild harvest. It was once the primary grain and leaf of choice for tribal societies that knew nothing of chronic disease or nutritional deficiency. It was the silent hero of the Great Depression. When the global economic system fractured and the banks failed, it wasn't the government that fed the starving masses. It was the land. Families survived the Dust Bowl by foraging this resilient green, using it to sustain their strength when the grocery shelves were empty and the currency was worthless. It has saved entire civilizations during times of war and crop failure, serving as the ultimate biological safety net when the centralized system collapsed under its own weight. So why was such a vital part of our history deleted from our textbooks? The answer is as cold as it is simple. A population that knows how to feed itself for free is a population that cannot be ruled. If you can walk outside and harvest a meal that is superior to anything the state can provide, their leverage over you vanishes. To maintain total control, they had to ensure that this knowledge was treated as primitive or even criminalized. They rebranded these life-saving plants as weeds and taught our children to fear them. They replaced the foraging basket with the shopping cart, effectively turning a sovereign people into a dependent workforce. The memory of lamb's quarters was banned from the dinner table to ensure you would always be hungry for what they were selling. This cultural lobotomy was necessary to usher in the era of monoculture and total dependence on high-fructose corn syrup and chemical-laden wheat. We traded our biological sovereignty for convenience and processed sickness. But the seeds of that ancient independence are still buried in the soil, waiting for someone with the courage to look beyond the corporate propaganda and reclaim the wild. History shows us that independence is the greatest threat to power. Now, let's talk about how you can reclaim that absolute power in your own backyard completely undetected. Identification is the first step toward reclaiming your biological independence. You are looking for a plant that masquerades as a common pest, hiding its miracle status behind a veil of dust. The most distinct feature of lamb's quarters is the fine, white, mealy powder that coats the undersides of its leaves and the new growth at the tip. This isn't dirt or mildew. It's a natural, water-repellent wax that makes the plant look like it's been dusted with flour. In the foraging world, we call this farinose. This secret marker is your confirmation that you've found the gold mine. The leaves are roughly diamond-shaped or goosefoot-shaped, with jagged edges that mimic the appearance of spinach, though far more potent. To the weed inspectors and the brainwashed neighbors who worship their sterile, chemically treated lawns, your yard might look like it's being reclaimed by the wilderness. Let them think that this is the art of the secret garden. While they spend their weekends and hard-earned money applying poisons to kill the source of life, you are quietly cultivating a survival crop that requires no irrigation and no fertilizer. Harvesting is where you must be discreet. You don't need to rip the plant out by its roots. That would be a waste of a productive asset. Instead, use a pinch and harvest method. By taking only the top 4 to 6 inches of the young, tender growth, you encourage the plant to branch out and produce even more foliage. It's a self-replenishing system that defies the logic of traditional farming. If you're foraging in the wild, avoid the roadside ditches where the state applies heavy metals and glyphosates. Look for disturbed soil in forest clearings or the edges of abandoned lots. This plant is a pioneer species. It's designed to heal the earth. By bringing it into your life, you are bypassing a corrupt food system that treats nutrition like an illegal luxury. You are growing a pharmacy in the shadows, creating a level of independence that no government can tax and no corporation can take away. It is the ultimate guerrilla act, feeding yourself from the very waste the system told you to despise. By choosing this path now, you secure your future and reject their cruel manufactured forced scarcity forever. Growing it is your first step. But in a world of collapsing supply chains, this plant serves a much darker, more vital purpose in a world where global logistics are fraying. Lamb's quarters is the ultimate prepper's insurance policy. While others obsess over stockpiles of dehydrated meals and fight over the last rusted can of beans in a looted supermarket, you will be thriving on the margins. This plant represents a total break from the control of industrial agriculture. It requires zero synthetic fertilizer, zero irrigation, and zero human upkeep. It is a self-generating miracle of nutrition that flourishes precisely where the system says nothing of value can grow. In the event of a total societal collapse, the waste ground of abandoned lots and fallow fields will become your private pantry. This is why the knowledge of wild harvesting has been so aggressively suppressed. It provides a level of independence that makes you immune to the threat of managed starvation. When the grocery store shelves go dark and the digital currency fails, your ability to identify this one plant will be the difference between desperation and dominance. The state views your self-reliance as a direct threat to its centralized power, as it cannot govern a man who doesn't need its permissions to eat. By mastering this botanical loophole, you are exiting the fragile grid of modern survival and stepping into a more ancient, resilient form of life. You are securing a future where your own physical health is not a corporate commodity but a sovereign right. The window to learn this is closing. The more the system tightens, the more illegal self-reliance becomes. The time for passive observation is now over. By hitting that subscribe button, you are not merely following a channel. You are joining an underground network of food rebels dedicated to total independence. This forbidden knowledge is the greatest threat to the systems of control that keep us weak. They want this information banned from the digital square, so you must act immediately. Share this video with those you trust before the truth is erased from the servers. Reclaim your biological birthright and stand with the resistance. Your survival depends on the secrets they cannot kill. Join us and rebel.